Leeds 0, Arsenal 4. That is a much needed win. Very comfortable win. Very, very good performance from Arsenal, and the scoreline does ultimately reflect how well we played. We were under pressure going into this one. The pressure was on our shoulders. We went away to Leeds, who, considering their standards, are on pretty good form right now. Ellen Road is not an easy place to go to. When we went there 3 seasons ago, ended up being a very, very sluggish, tricky game to get through. A lot of matches at Ellen Road are like that, and considering we had one very recently at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, there was a bit of nerves going into today, wondering if it was going to be similar. In the end, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. 4 Premier League games in a row without a win would have been pretty disastrous, considering we're aiming to be near perfect in order to win this title. So I'm really, really glad that has not happened. Finally, in the Premier League, we get a win that's going to be a nice confidence booster, a nice nerve settler going into following Premier League games shortly after today. And we feared the worst from the start when we found out Saka went off the pitch in the warm-up with some kind of injury. Marino as well, not available today. The 2 senior absences, along with Max Dowman, obviously still injured as well. So we're going to have to pray that Saka is fine, that it's purely precautionary, not involving him today. And then Marino as well, sounds like some kind of injury in his foot. The most extreme thing it could be is probably a stress fracture, which is not something you want to be getting at all. That would probably put him out for the majority of what remains in the season, depending on how severe it is. Let's obviously hope it's not a stress fracture. Could very well be something a lot less significant. Let's hope that that's the case. We'll wait for these scans to come back. Hopefully tomorrow we get some good news. But Madueke being forced to come in, forced to start after assuming he'd be on the bench today, ended up working out well, because he was definitely our most dangerous, our most effective attacker in the first half. So many great deliveries into the box, so much chaos, as is always what seems to be the case when Noni Madueke starts in Premier League matches. And he's ultimately the difference maker in that first half. He's responsible for both those goals. The first one comes from his ball into the box. Martin Zubimendi gets on the end of that. Another headed goal. Second one of the season, following on from the one he had at against Nottingham Forest earlier on in the season. For a short guy, he's in there and he's always looking, can I get on the end of balls into the box? Twice he's done that in Premier League games. 5th goal for him overall in all competitions this season. For someone who doesn't score many goals, apparently, 5 ain't bad, I'll tell you that. And then the second goal is really poor on Leeds' part. Total miscommunication from Carl Darlow, the goalkeeper, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They both give everything to get there, and for Calvert-Lewin headed away, or for Darlow to claim it. They just don't communicate with each other, and ultimately ends up in the back of their net. And honestly, a lot of that's probably down to panic that might set in when you're facing an Arsenal corner. Opposition sides know how good we are from set pieces. They might overthink things, or they might try different ways of dealing with Arsenal corners, and it just completely goes against them, even though what we're doing is not really revolutionary from corners. We're just really, really good at doing what is needed. Getting balls on top of the keeper, having players around there waiting for the ball to come their way, or waiting for it to get on their head. And it's always the ball on top of the keeper that other teams just can't seem to deal with to save their lives right now. It's always on top of the keeper. The keeper is looking up at the ball. They can't seem to know full well who is around them, what they need to do to get hold of the ball. They miscommunicate, they overthink things, and it completely backfires on them. That's what happens with the second goal. Madueke as well, give him credit for that. Really, really good delivery from him. In the end, it is another goal by Owen Gold to make it 2-0. And I'll be honest, the first half overall was not that great, especially from a creativity standpoint. That is a concern. We have to be aware of that, even though it's a very convincing win in the end. We were not that adventurous before we'd gotten ourselves a comfortable lead. On a different day, that may have come back to hurt us. I went into halftime thinking right, not the best performance, but it's 2-0. Surely we aren't going to throw things away from here. And again, on a different day, it might have been a different outcome because Leeds came out into the second half much the better side. The crowd were totally up for that second half. They were spurring the players on, and they got a real boost from it. They again came out looking so much better than us, looking like they wanted to score way more than we did. And for probably the first half an hour of the second half, it was all them. They were the ones creating, they were the ones getting the balls into the box. They were the ones causing the majority of problems in that second half. They were looking so much more likely to score than us in that first half an hour of the second half. And I tell you what, we dug deep. You have to give a lot of credit to the way we dug ourselves out of that tight situation in the second half, because that third goal was very important. We didn't really threaten a third goal until, again, after probably 30 minutes onwards into the second half. Looked like Leeds were going to be the ones to score that third goal. And defensively, throughout that 30-minute period, we were so solid. William Saliba, incredible defensive performance from him. He was really commanding. Gabriel as well, let's not get that twisted. David Raya as well, lots and lots of claims. I honestly believe he's the best in the league at claiming balls into the box. Nullified the threat from wide areas. They brought on Okafor at half-time to spice things up. And I don't think he really changed anything, to be honest, because the wide players in Capier and Timber did their job really well. Overall, a magnificent effort to get ourselves out of that tough situation. I was saying, slow the game down, take the sting out of it. You know, just have a spell of possession. In our half is fine. Just do whatever you have to do to take the sting and the ferociousness out of the game. Slow it down. Make the fans pipe down. Make the Leeds players have less spurring them on. And we did exactly that. We took the sting out of the game, not by keeping the ball in our own half, but by going for a third goal ourselves. And it came off. It came off. Victor Gyökeres gets it. He should have scored earlier on in the second half. Pretty similar kind of situation to Nottingham Forest. Gets in behind and he's got it. He's going to be one-on-one with the keeper the whole way through. Right into the end, when a defender is able to catch up, it gives the defender too much time to catch up and get in the way and block the eventual shot. But in the end, it is him that gets our third goal, that effectively puts the game to bed, gives us the reward we deserve from digging deep in that second half. It's not a clean finish in the slightest. That caught all shin, no boot. We do not care whatsoever. Shout out Martinelli for an absolute peach of a ball into the box on his weak foot. On his weak left foot. He's put that ball into the box and Gyökeres is there to put it away. And that's what happens when you feed him. Obviously, the circumstances are not always right to give him the service he needs, but that is what happens when you feed him. And the goals aren't going to be clean. The goals don't need to be clean. He just needs it to be in the right place at the right time with the right service. And he is getting so good at putting the chances away when he is given exactly that. And then after Gyökeres' goal, fairly standard from Arsenal, just see the rest of the match out. We don't need to do anything spectacular. We want to save a bit of energy, just kind of knock it around, don't do anything stupid. Right, and in the end, we do get a fourth goal. It comes from Gabriel Jesus. It's a really good goal from him because he's had to hold off a defender for a few seconds, use his body, his physicality really well, kept it. It plays all around him. This defender is really on his back, trying to disrupt him. He gets over that. He keeps onto it, and it turns really good finish from him for 4-0. And that goal capped off what was a really good performance once again from Arsenal, because even though it wasn't the best creatively in the first half, we still found a way up against Leeds' low shape, something that we've struggled with this season more than I would have liked to, but we still found a way. And then once again in the second half, it would have been scandalous to throw this game away from having a 2-0 lead. But Leeds, they tried their absolute best to get back into it. You have to credit that, respect to them for that, and we still found a way to dig deep, get ourselves out of that situation. From minute 1 to minute 90, we did what champions have to do. which is find a way to score goals and prevent the opposition from scoring goals when things are not going in your favor. Once again, nerve-settling performance, nerve-settling results, going to give us so much confidence going into our next few games. We have Chelsea next. Again, gotten ourselves in a really, really good situation with that first leg. Now it's about finishing that job, sending us through to a Carabao Cup final for the first time since, I believe, 2018. And for now, over the next couple of days, let's hope we get some good news back surrounding Saka and Marino. And let's hope tomorrow that both teams lose between Spurs and Man City. I really hope that that's something that can be arranged. It's just 0 points for both sides, maybe an all-out brawl where both teams get 4 red cards at the same time and both teams just forfeit and get 0 points. But if it comes down to it, always remember, we aren't celebrating Spurs scoring, we're celebrating Man City conceding. There is a difference. There is a big difference. Remember that. That's going to do it for today. Really, really good performance from Arsenal. 7 points clear again. Hopefully, it'll stay like that following tomorrow's result. Let's pay attention to what City do tomorrow, and then we go from there. This is our title. This is still our title. It was our title to run away with. It is no longer our title to run away with because of previous results, unfortunately. It is still our title, and it is on us to finish the job. This match has put us, once again, in a really, really good position going forward. We need to close this out. Up the Arsenal.